Hello everybody, this is Zephyr with your Child Track support team, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use our new training configurations with this new release. So to get to our new training homepage, all we have to do is go to Homes, Training, and then Training Home. You will notice that there are some new options here when you go to select something, but right now we're just going to focus on Training Home. When I click on Training Home, you'll know you're on the right page, obviously, when it says Training Home at the top here. And on the left-hand side, you'll see some buttons that help us configure and add trainings. We're going to focus on configuring trainings, which you'll need to do before you'll be able to add trainings to any parent. So to configure a training, what we're going to do first is we're going to add a training type. When I click this Add/Edit Training Types right here, you can see some types that we currently have set up. Now to add one, it's pretty simple. We're just going to enter a date here, and then we're going to add the training type, whatever we want to add here. And we're going to add field trip. When I click add, you'll notice that field trip will be put up here. These will be sorted alphabetically. And now that training type is set up. What you'll notice on the right hand side is there's plenty of save buttons. Whenever you're editing one of these items, let's say you wanted to change the name of book, you would change the name here, click save, and then that would be saved and ready to go. You can also add an end date, and that would end this item effectively with whatever date that you add here. And then there's also a history button on the right hand side. So if I wanted to change the field trip to just trip, I can delete all here and click save. So as you see here, it moved trip down here because it sorted it back alphabetically. And when I click history here, you'll notice that it'll show all the history of this item. So the top is always going to be the first time it was saved, and as you can see, field trip was saved. You can see who was saved by, what date, and what time. Below that is the revision. So down here you'll see that I changed the name of the trip. You can see that I was the one that did that and what time I did it. This will help show you if you're unsure where an item went, or if you're unsure why this item is no longer appearing. You can come back and look at the revision history of each of these items, see who changed it, and then you can make the corrections from there. So once I have my type added, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some trainers. So if I go to Add/Edit Trainers, and I can just click search here if I can see who the trainers are already set up in the system. As you can see, there's plenty of trainers set up. Now you can edit any of these at any time, or you can add your own trainer. So if I clicked Add a Trainer, this is the screen that you're going to see. Now there's two options here. So if you have an employee who does some trainings for the parents and they're certified to train, you can simply just enter their name up here. So let's say I would say, we'll go with Hanrahan here, and I can add Jason Hanrahan right here. Then all I have to do is click save. I can enter notes about Jason and give him a start date and just click save. Now once I've saved it, you'll see that Jason is now listed here. If it says staff, that means they're part of the actual staff of your company. And you can see all his information here. Now if I want to add somebody outside of the organization, I can just click Add a Trainer, and then I can start filling out their information here. So if I wanted to just start putting a name, and then it's just basic data entry from here on out, where I can just start putting their address, zip code, where it's the bill to address is, if it's any different, etc. So I just want to enter all the information that I can. And then I can click save. Now you will notice that you can return to previous with this button, but you'll also have a history button similar to what we saw in the training types. When I click on history, it will show you what was saved and who saved it. Same idea. If I were to change this and click save again, we now have a second entry of what was changed when I updated it. This will show you all the information. If any information is ever changed, you can always go back at the revision history. So the next thing I want to do is I want to add a training location. So once I click on this add/edit training locations, I can click search, and then you can see different locations. Now what I want to do is I want to click this add a location button. The description, I'm going to say I'm going to call it the training center. Now the address, you need to make sure that you have the correct address, as you'll see why here in a second. So if I enter our business location, and then you'll also see there's an option to use with these branches. Now, if you want this location to only be used with one branch, then you would just check one, or you can check all of them or just a couple of them, however you want to do it. Just keep in mind that if you do not have one of these checked, or one of these are not checked at all, when you go to search for this training location, you won't be able to search for it because it isn't associated with that branch. You can also add an actual branch as a location for training. So if you do trainings in your own building, all you have to do is simply enter your branch here, click save, and it'll save your branch as a location for trainings. For this instance, I'm just going to click save here. Now what you'll notice is there's actually a map location. As soon as we saved it, it automatically pulls the address, city, state, and zip, and then it'll mark it on the map right here. Now this is actually something you'll see and how this is effective later on here in a minute, once we get a training actually set up. So again, there's also a revision history just like there was before. Again, if we change an item and save it, it enters that here and it basically shows you what was changed. So now that we have a location, we can finally add our training title. So for this instance, I'm going to add a title of, we'll add racial sensitivity. Now we can, and actually what we're doing, this is searching, so we're going to actually delete that. When we click search, you can see the different trainings titles that have been set up. As you see, CPR first aid and a regular CPR, first aid training, handling difficult behavior, medicine child restraint training, all that stuff is listed here. You can see who it's for. You can have multiples listed on any of these trainings. You can see the start date and the end date. Now obviously you can put a training ending and a future date. Once that date occurs, this training title will no longer be listed and won't be able to be searched for, but you'll be able to see the history of anything that's been added. So what I want to do now is I want to click add a title. So in my title, we'll do exactly what I had before. We're going to say this is for licensed and unlicensed foster parents, and we're going to actually include staff. We're going to have everybody in this. Ooh, if I could spell. So I'm going to make sure I have all my information entered, make sure I have a start date, and click save. And actually let me fix that real quick. Now it automatically adds an end date, but I can just remove that and click save here. Again, every time I click save, it creates a timestamp with the revision history here. So once I'm done here, I can return to previous, I can search again, and then I can see my racial sensitivity trainings listed right here. Now as you can see, we have all our stuff set up. Now we can finally go to add a training. So for our training to be listed and be able to be searched and added to other parents, we need to add it here. So I'm going to add a date here of when this training starts, and we're going to make it start on the beginning of the year, and I can make it expire at the very end of this year. We can make a time frame that this starts and ends. That way we have the hours credited. So we're going to say 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. As you can see, it automatically calculates the hours that will be credited. We're going to publish this. And then I can select what branches this training is available for. Again, if you do not have the branches checked, it won't show up when you go to search with a parent from that branch. You can make this mandatory or not mandatory. We're going to make this one mandatory. And we can also make it listed as a medically fragile training. So the title, I can click this add button here, and then I can create it this way instead of having to click here and then add it if you like. Or you can actually search for it just by starting to type the name. So as you can see, if I start typing racial sensitivity, it will automatically add it with all the information that I've already saved. The location, I can add the location that I've already added by either clicking add here, or we can start searching for it just by starting to type the name. And I believe, see, if you just start typing a letter, it will automatically start listing them all here. I'm going to add our training center. The type, I'm going to add as trip. And again, same idea. If we don't have it saved there, you can add it from here. And then the trainer, we can start searching just by typing a name. In this case, I'm going to start typing Jason. And then I can add notes about this training here. So once I have everything and it looks correct, all I have to do is click save. And now this training is available to be used. So if I actually went to find a training here, now here is just a bunch of filters that you can list here. If I were to just click show list, it's going to show me all the trainings, period, that we have available. As you can see, the one I just added is right here. We can also narrow this search down by a start date and an end date. We can also narrow it down by trainers. So if I wanted to look for ones that show Jason, obviously it would show up right here. Now I can click edit, and then I can see all the information about this training. Let's actually go back to there. And we can actually copy a training. Let's say there's a same type of training but in a different location in another branch. I can click the copy tool. Or if it's a different date and time, I can start or copy the same exact training with a different time just by clicking that copy button. Or when I do click edit and we go back to this screen, you'll see a button that says attendance. So you can look here if you want to see all the people who attended this training, if it's already happened. You can see them listed here. You can add attendance, so anybody who did come to this training, I can start adding that parent by name. In this case, I'm going to start typing a parent's name. As you can see, when you start adding a parent, you can see the training periods start. You can see the mandatory of non-treatment and the mandatory of treatment. How many training periods set within the license period, and it's 12-month periods. So in this case, I want to add Adam here. I'm going to say he was there the entire time, and then click Save Attendance. Now, as you can see here, Adam was added. It shows that his attendance. I can edit it if that isn't correct. So you can print your certificates by clicking this button. It will print your company's logo, and then you'll be able to print it out and hand it off to your parents as a certificate of them completing the listed training. So that is the basics of how to add training, the training configurations, adding a new training, and getting it set up. Now, one thing you can notice is that when I click the Show Map button, which it does require that you have a zip code and a miles from marker, if I click Show Map, it will show a map here. It will give you all these locations in A, B, and C, but because they're on top of each other, you can't really see them separated. And then I can click here and see all the classes that are available in there. And there's also a calendar option that we can do. That depending on the search criteria you have, it will pull those trainings and show you a list of a calendar, so you can see them in a calendar view here. Now this will complete the new basic configuration of adding trainings with our new training system.